Welcome into Off the Hook Sports. I am your host, Caleb Calhoun. We've got a lot to get to today. Happy Friday to everybody. To all the men out there, you got a couple of days to get ready for Mother's Day, so hurry up and get prepared. Happy Friday. But if you don't have your Mother's Day gifts prepared, then it might not be the happiest Friday for you. Anyways, we got a lot to get to. We got a lot to cover on the show. We have got a question about whether or not Tennessee should get a mulligan for 2025, and Josh Heupel in particular, given the Nico Iamaleava situation. We're going to ask that question. That'll be today's tough question. We're going to break down some of the challenges facing Joey Aguilar if he does indeed become Tennessee's starter. What are the biggest challenges? That's going to be hot or cold. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Ross Dellinger of Yahoo was reporting that a 16-team college football playoff is now in the works. Or is now being discussed. We're going to break down what that means, and that's going to be 4 downs and talk about everything that's in play if that happens. Urban Meyer says lying should end head coaching careers. Urban Meyer, of all people? Are we serious here? That's going to be what the H, because what the H does Urban Meyer know about being honest and truthful? We're going to get to that. And then Donald Trump and Nick Saban are now teaming up for a potential commission on college sports. It's assumed Nick Saban is teaming up with him because it's assumed Nick Saban will be appointed to this commission. We're going to talk about that. Will anything come on it? That'll be bank on it, on what we think will come out of that. We got this day in Tennessee sports history and the stat of the day. So a lot to get to. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Ring the bell. Turn your notifications on. Tell a friend. We got a lot to talk about, and we're building something great here at Off the Hook Sports, and we want you to be a part of it. Again, happy Friday. The show is represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. Play to win, why settle? Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com. We are live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln studio. Ted Russell Ford Lincoln is your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville, new and used. East Tennessee's largest Ford and Lincoln volume dealer. Let's get rolling with today's tough question, and it involves whether or not Josh Heupel gets a mulligan for 2025. Nico Iamaleava's transfer has significantly dropped expectations for Tennessee across the board, despite the fact that they added Joey Aguilar in his place. Their win total on FanDuel dropped from 9.5 to 8.5. Their odds for winning a national title, reaching the college football playoff, have all gone down. Their post-spring top 25 rankings have completely collapsed. They were flirting with the top 10 before spring practice. Now most have them out of the top 25. The highest was number 12 at USA Today, but multiple ones have them completely outside of the top 25, including ESPN, including 247 Sports. So many people don't even think they will be ranked now throughout this year based on what happened. Josh Heupel, meanwhile, is entering his 5th year as head coach of Tennessee. Obviously, he made a splash hit by his 2nd year, going 11-2 and finishing number 6 and having Tennessee in the college football playoff race. Had already impressed people by just going 7-6 his first year. Hasn't been able to repeat the magic of 2022, though, as he went 9-4 in 2023 with Joe Milton at quarterback, and then with all the hype surrounding Nico Iamaleava last year, did go 10-2 and then lost the first playoff game to Ohio State to finish 10-3, but didn't make the college football playoff. At the same time, the passing game that everybody was excited about with Heupel wasn't there last year, and Nico Iamaleava ended up transferring in what was a major blow for Tennessee, given how they went to publicly went to war for Iamaleava going into last year. So I'm asking all this, and this is the poll question now to set this up. Typically, when a head coach with Josh Heupel's resume enters his 5th year, you expect the program to be at a level of an 8 or 9 win team minimum each year, no matter what happens. But does Josh Heupel get a mulligan for 2025, given what happened with the Nico Iamaleava situation? And that is today's tough question. It is brought to you by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, led by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com. Does Josh Heupel get a mulligan if Tennessee struggles in 2025 because of the Nico Iamaleava situation? Typically, again, the reason I bring this up is if Josh Heupel, if Nico was back and Josh Heupel and Tennessee went 6-6, Heupel's 5th year, there'd be serious questions about Tennessee's future under Josh Heupel because it would be his 5th year. And that doesn't mean he'd be fired, but he might enter 2026 on the hot seat. Now with Nico Iamaleava gone, though, is he allowed to do that? Is he allowed to almost have a year similar to what his first year was like in 2021? I'm going to say no. Now, you guys can vote on this on the poll question, but I'm going to say no. And here's why I'm going to say no. Josh Heupel, the question surrounding Josh Heupel from the start has been Josh Heupel, the GM, not Josh Heupel, the head coach and the football guy. It's on Josh Heupel that Tennessee went all in and opened the checkbook for Nico Iamaleava and then had all this drama with him over the last 2 years. That is totally on Josh Heupel. He pushed Tennessee to do that. It's also on Josh Heupel if Tennessee doesn't have an adequate quarterback ready to step in and replace him. And it's on Josh Heupel if Tennessee doesn't have the talent and skill players on the offensive side of the ball to still have the offense do what it needs to do without Nico Iamaleava. Heupel's known as an offensive guru. He turned Drew Lock into an NFL draft pick. He balled out with McKenzie Milton, balled out with Dylan Gabriel, made Hendon Hooker a Heisman candidate. The whole selling point of Josh Heupel's offense is it doesn't really matter the quarterback necessarily. They can put up big numbers if the personnel is there. So if Nico Iamaleava is gone, while I did say Nico Iamaleava was created in a lab to run Josh Heupel's offense, and I stood by that even through last year with the way things went, if he can't keep this offense performing at a high rate, excuse me, without Nico Iamaleava, then I got to say that Josh Heupel will never be a good enough, we'll say GM or scouter of talent or evaluator of talent to turn Tennessee into a national championship contender. So unless Tennessee hires a GM, which that's a topic for another day, we're going to debate that next week. But unless Tennessee hires a GM, as long as Josh Heupel's making the personnel decisions, no, he shouldn't get a mulligan. I don't care how the Nico Iamaleava thing went down. That's how the transfer portal works in college football now. He should be prepared for that, and he should have known and been able to offset it with his roster building outside of that. So the poll question is up now. You guys vote on it. Should Josh Heupel get a mulligan for 2025? It's very simple. Yes or no. I say no. I think Josh Heupel should be held accountable for the roster decisions he makes. Everybody else and every other coach in history has been that way. Okay. They get the credit if they're not great coaches, but they recruit well and go win a national title. Head Orgeron. They also get the blame if one of the problems is that they're not recruiting well. That is a narrative surrounding the program. Part of recruiting well now is roster building through the transfer portal also, and not just and still on the trail. So you have to be held accountable for your roster building decisions. And Josh Heupel, without a GM, having pushed Tennessee to declare open war on the NCAA on behalf of Nico Iamaleava and to open the checkbook for Nico Iamaleava, doesn't get a mulligan just because that whole thing blew up in his face. He's the one that wanted that to happen. He's the one that pushed the university to take the risk that they took for Nico Iamaleava. He's also the one that went for Joey Aguilar after Nico Iamaleava transferred. He's the one that signed Mike Matthews. He's the one who signed Chris Brazzell. He's the one who signed Braylon Staley. He's the one who signed the entire offensive line. No Pruitt guys are there anymore. This is Josh Heupel's team. It's year 5. He doesn't get a mulligan just because of the Nico Iamaleava situation. Today's tough question brought to you by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. Play to win. Why settle? Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com. Please vote on the poll question. Should Josh Heupel get a mulligan for 2025? Yes or no? Here's a quick message from Banks & Jones.
Why Banks & Jones? Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks & Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly, Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks & Jones. T. Scott.
Should Josh Heupel get a mulligan for 2025 given the Nico Iamaleava situation? The poll question is up. 56% of you say yes. 44% of you say no. I'm with the 44%. I don't think he should get a mulligan. I think it's on Josh Heupel to address the situation and be able to offset what happened. It's year 5. Roster building matters. And I want to go to the message board real quick because a great point was made by Steve Sullivan here. Does Heupel get an extra bonus if he has another playoff team without Nico? Exactly. It's not like Josh Heupel's not going to get credit if Tennessee performs well without Nico next year and get an extra bonus. Why shouldn't they get a mulligan? Gene Phillips adds, they all make too much to have a mulligan. Yeah, look, the thing about coaching is You don't have to win a national title every year. You don't have to be a top 10 team every year. You don't have to be a top 5 team every year. You don't have to do those things. You don't even have to make the college football playoff every year, even when it's at 12 teams. But you do have to get to a point to where you have a floor, okay? And that floor needs to be 8 wins. And I don't think 6-6 in year 5 is going to be able to cut it for Tennessee or Josh Heupel. I just don't think that's something that is adequate. I think Tennessee has a standard. I think that a head coach, once they get the program where it needs to be, should have a baseline of success that they're going to have. And Josh Heupel got 11 wins his second year, 10 wins his fourth year, 9 wins his third year, to be fair. If he takes a drop off to go to 6-6 this year because of a mulligan, because of what happened, well, you honestly can't sit there and say that it's unfair because of the Nico Iamaleava situation when he took all the risk for Nico Iamaleava. So I'm not saying, and when I say mulligan, guys, I don't mean they go 9-3 and miss the playoff. That's fine. I'm not saying Heupel's on the hot seat if that happens. I'm saying mulligan like they go 6-6 or 5-7. Look, missing a bowl game is on the table, okay? If they miss a bowl game, yeah, they should be in trouble. I'm sorry, that should be the case. A couple points on the message board, too. Elias Gray says it depends on the extent of the issues. Yes, but the extent to a certain degree would be Josh Heupel's fault. But I get your point. David Speak says, I would say yes, referring to Steve Sullivan's comment, does Heupel get an extra bonus? He says, I could see like 97 where we lost Peyton and Little and we were poised to win like 8 or 9 games and win the Natty. I could see a 10 or 11 win playoff team, though. Yeah, but David, 8 or 9 wins is still fine. I'm talking 6-6, 5-7. Elias says that he said, I voted no, but I'll give some leeway if they go 9-3 instead of 10-2 or even 8-4 where they are competitive against every power in the schedule. That's fair. I'm with you on that. Elias, if they do go 8-4, that is totally fair. I would give Josh Heupel a break on that. I think 8-4 in a down year is expected for a coach at Tennessee, even when they're at their peak. Okay. Philip Fulmer went 8-4 in 1994. He went 8-4 in 2000. No one really questioned that he still had the program rolling during that time. They knew the situations for those years. You're allowed those years at Tennessee, not even just at Tennessee, at Florida. I mean, Spurrier went 9-4, I believe, in 1999, was it? So I don't think it's a problem if you go 8-4. 7-5 is questionable. You know, you go 7-5, maybe when your bowl game finish 8-5, we have a conversation. But if you go 6-6 or 5-7, yes, I think he should be on the hot seat going into 2026. You can't blame the Nico Iamaleava situation when he's at fault for the Nico Iamaleava situation. And that's the key point I want to bring up. Josh Heupel made the decisions for the Nico Iamaleava situation. That's why I'm so gung-ho on the fact that, yes, he should be held accountable if that cost him this year and they end up having a bad year. You don't get that type of mulligan just because you had some personnel situations blow up in your face. You're responsible for those personnel decisions as the head coach unless you hire a general manager, which Tennessee has not done. We will address next week. Maybe they should hire a general manager, but as of right now, it all falls back on Josh Heupel. Portions of the program are brought to you by Chattanooga Mortgage. Congratulations, your home search just got easier. Buying a home in Chattanooga has never been easier. Chatwith2tsmortgage.com. Chatwith2tsmortgage.com. The poll question, should Josh Heupel get a mulligan for 2025? I think I sold you guys. Earlier, it was about 60% yes, 40% no. Now it's 50-50, yes and no. 50-50, yes and no. I'm going to kill that poll question now, and we're going to get another poll question up because we're about to play hot or cold. And the question for this one is, what is the biggest challenge Joey Aguilar will face this year? If he starts for the Vols. And I'm going to put the options up, but I'm not going to name them yet because they're going to be part of our hot or cold game. But I'll say this is based on some comments made by Urban Meyer, which not the comments by Urban Meyer we're going to get to in a minute, but it's about some concerns that people have about Aguilar going forward this year. I mean, he's a new quarterback and a new level of playing, and there's questions about his physical abilities as a quarterback. So we're going to get to that now, and it's going to be hot or cold as Joey Aguilar is still the favorite to start at quarterback for Tennessee. Tennessee has an open competition at quarterback right now between George McIntyre, Jake Merklinger, and Joey Aguilar. But Joey Aguilar, the Appalachian State transfer who spent the spring with UCLA, is still the favorite to start at Tennessee as Nico Iamaleava's replacement in the fall. There are still questions, though, surrounding Joey Aguilar and what he's going to be able to do. Most notably, Urban Meyer spoke the other day about concerns on Joey Aguilar. Very pessimistic outlook. He basically said he watched Aguilar because he wanted to familiarize himself. And he said, quote, "I love Appalachian State, but the reality is you're stepping into the SEC. So everybody's at least a step, maybe at most positions, 2 steps faster. And when you have 24 interceptions, that's about 1 per game. That's way too many. The windows are just so much tighter in the SEC. I'll go back on record again saying Tennessee is screwed. Now you can get unscrewed real fast if that team develops. But as of May, we're in the get screwed category." So Heupel's questioning Aguilar's ability and his gunslinging mentality and the competition he's going to face. So let's play hot or cold on what's the biggest challenge facing Joey Aguilar. And it's brought to you by City Heating and Air, 50 years in East Tennessee. Integrity matters. cityheatandair.com. What are the biggest challenges facing Joey Aguilar in the SEC? First, no experience playing in the SEC or Power 5. That's something Urban Meyer brought up. You guys ready for this? I'm cold on that. I'm cold on that being an obstacle, and let me explain why. It's one thing to jump from the SEC or college football to the NFL, but jumping from a lower level to a higher level as a quarterback, that's not as much of an issue as you think, because quarterback is, and particularly at the college level, is so much more dependent on the skill positions around you. So while your competition goes up, the personnel surrounding you and your supporting cast goes up too. Joey Aguilar had a spike in interceptions from 2023 to 2024. I believe he went from 9 to 15. He also lost his top 2 receivers, his top running back, a couple of offensive linemen, all at the higher level. So his level of supporting cast completely collapsed in 2024. He would have had a massive upgrade in supporting cast had he jumped to Tennessee from 2023 from Appalachian State, based on what he had in 2023. It's an even greater jump in supporting cast from 2024. And the jump in supporting cast outweighs the lack of experience playing in the SEC or Power 5 or the amount of increased competition that he's going to face. So I'm cold on that being a real issue. Learning a new system, learning Josh Heupel's system. I'm cold on that as well. That's not a concern for me. It's a concern for other players, and we're going to get to the other players. But for Tennessee specifically, no. Josh Heupel's offense, guys, and I try to insist this a lot, is very easy for a quarterback to pick up. It's not easy for a lot of other positions to pick up, but it is extremely easy for a quarterback to pick up. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons to be excited about Joey Aguilar. Some people think he's a better fit for Heupel's system. This is not a hard system to figure out. We all could learn this thing in 2 weeks. You look at one side of the field and you read a safety and you get rid of the ball quickly based on what the safety is doing. You pretty much know where you're going before this ball is snapped. You just have to hope the receiver's on the same page, which brings to our next point. What about this? Developing a quick rapport with receivers. Is that a concern? Yes. Now that's a big concern for Joey Aguilar. And the reason I bring that up is it's not so much about Aguilar, it's about the receivers. The receivers do read option routes. They base their route based on what the defense is doing. They don't communicate it with the quarterback. The quarterback and receiver just have to assume they're on the same page. The receiver has to choose the route he's going to run. The quarterback has to be able to anticipate which route the receiver will run. The receiver has to anticipate what route the quarterback anticipates him to run. So that's a huge amount of chemistry that is required to develop, and it can be difficult. So I am hot on that being a concern because they have to be able to be on the same page. And while the quarterback can read the safety and learn the system, the rapport with the receivers is a big deal, and he's only going to have a couple of months to figure that out with Mike Matthews, Chris Brazzell, and Braylon Staley. That's the biggest concern. They got to be able to be on the same page to run the right option routes. So I'm hot on that. Pressure. I'm cold on that. Joey Aguilar is a 5th-year senior. He's very, very experienced, very developed. I don't think the pressure is going to get to him or bother him, honestly. Now, you don't really know until you see the field, but you either have it or you don't. And I don't think that really applies for a new quarterback. So I wouldn't be concerned about Joey Aguilar with pressure. Hotter Call brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning. 50 years in East Tennessee, integrity matters. City Heat and Air. We're going to close this out in 1 second. First, a quick message from City Heat and Air. And please vote on the poll question on the biggest challenges facing Joey Aguilar. I will bring up those to you in 1 minute after this message.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
The poll question up: what is the biggest challenge Joey Aguilar will face this year if he starts for the Vols, moving up to SEC competition, learning Josh Heupel's system, or, and this is the last one, his own limitations as a quarterback? I'm hot on this. Now, he still could be a better fit for Josh Heupel's system. We talked about this with Will West two Fridays ago. He's a gunslinger. He's willing to throw it up to let his receivers make a play. He'll be able to work the middle of the field more than Nico Iamaleava, Hendon Hooker, or Joe Milton could. Those are all advantages, but a key part of this offense is being able to lead receivers with the deep ball. We found out now the reason Nico Iamaleava wasn't able to do that last year is because Brew McCoy was a step slow, which messed up everything, and it wasn't Brew McCoy's fault. He was coming off a broken leg. But you got to be able to lead with the deep ball, and the deep ball's questionable with Joey Aguilar. Taking that into account, we have to say that I personally think the physical limitations are a little more underrated than we're giving it credit to. They've got to address those issues. As far as the poll question goes, many of you guys disagree with me, because when it comes to what is the biggest challenge Joey Aguilar will face this year if he starts for the Vols, moving up to SEC competition leads the way at 62%. Learning Josh Heupel's system is 25%. His limitations as a quarterback is 12%. I'm sorry, his limitations as a quarterback is a bigger deal for me. So I think that's one of the biggest ones. So the biggest two to me are his limitations as a quarterback and establishing a rapport with the wide receivers, because they have to be on the same page. That is key for this offense to work. They have to be able to read the same thing, see the same thing. And that's why it's actually more complicated for receivers to learn the system than quarterbacks, because they have to anticipate what the quarterback is going to anticipate. And they have to read the safety too, and they have multiple option routes, and they have to choose which route to run. That's why Mike Matthews didn't thrive in the system his first year last year. A lot of first-year receivers, almost no freshman receivers really stand out in this offense. It takes a year. Veterans can probably pick it up quicker. That's how you saw Velus Jones do it, Cedric Tillman do it, Hendon Hooker as a quarterback do it and develop a rapport with them. But it took Jalen Hyatt a year, and then Jalen Hyatt won the Biletnikoff Award. Brew McCoy picked it up too, but Brew McCoy was a veteran when he arrived at Tennessee. So I think in general, the rapport with the receivers is the biggest concern overall to establish. I really don't think that the SEC competition is a big deal. I don't. I think he's going to have a lot more supporting cast around him. And I think with that in mind, there's not much to be concerned about when it comes to Joey Aguilar facing tougher competition. He's going to be fine on that. Now, as far as some of the things you guys are seeing on the message board, Steve says Nico didn't win a single game for the Vols last season, so the bar isn't set too high. I actually think he did help Tennessee beat Alabama. I think he played a significant role in them beating Alabama. David Speak says Joey Swagular. I do like it once to win badly. Watch any of his games, he puts it all on the line, and he does seem to have a lot of heart as a gunslinger. Adam says maybe we'll find out Squirrel White wasn't as good of a receiver and held us back. I do think he held Tennessee back last year, Adam, because of that separated shoulder, and so we'll see how that goes. One thing about Hawkhead says one thing about Joey, Hendon wasn't good either until he hooked up with Heupel. Yes, Hawkhead, but Hendon wasn't bad. He battled injuries when he was at Virginia Tech, and his coach was throwing him under the bus. So we're going to see how all of this plays out. But I do think I do think that in general, Joey Aguilar, there's not as many concerns about what's happening there. Now, Dan Yoder says questions of whether or not the line can protect him better than Iamaleava. I like that. I don't know if he did it on purpose, but I like that. I do think there's a good point. I do think that's a good point, Dan. And people forget Nico was dealing with two injured tackles last year, and now Joey Aguilar has to deal with 3 new interior linemen, but he got no protection last year either. He had no time to throw the ball. even at Appalachian State. So we're going to see how that plays out. Portions of the program are brought to you by Hemp House, the premier hemp dispensary online with a wide variety, great selection, and strict standards. Hemp House Chat with 2Ts.com. Hemp House Chat with 2Ts.com. Use the promo code HOOKED for 10% off. HOOKED for 10% off. When we come back, the college football playoff. There are discussions to extend it to 16 teams. Is that a good thing? Also, this day in Tennessee sports history. Stick with us. 2 minutes off the Hook Sports.
Why Banks & Jones? Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks & Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly, Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks & Jones. T. Scott Jones. BanksandJones.com.
Now in its 45th year, the second and third generations continue Joe Newbert's commitment.
His vision of what this business needed to be, we still try to live up to that.
Joe Newbert Collision Center.
Community banking is about location and much more. It's about family. We reside in your community. We are a part of your community. At Commercial Bank, our commitment extends beyond the walls of our branches. It's displayed each day in the opportunities we provide, the money we give back, and the time we commit, all to help improve the lives of the people, families, and businesses that make our communities great. Commercial Bank, life made better.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare.
Are you ready to get strong? At NFC, we offer top-notch weight training and functional fitness, so you can build strength and improve your performance. Join today at nfc1.com or stop by any one of our 7.
Welcome back to Off the Hook Sports. Portions of the program brought to you by Haun Dogs of Knoxville. Champions look good in orange. hdknoxville.com, hdknoxville.com. It is time for this day in Tennessee sports history. And it's a happy birthday to Chase Headley, who played baseball at Tennessee, was a switch hitter, and after playing at Tennessee was drafted by the San Diego Padres in 2005, played for the Padres from 2007 to 2014, played for the Yankees from 2014 to 2017, and back for the Padres in 2018, a 12-year career in the major leagues. In 2012, he won the Gold Glove, a Silver Slugger Award, and led the National League in RBIs. Finished his career with a .263 batting average, 130 home runs, 596 RBIs. Hails from Colorado. He turns 41 today. A very happy birthday to Chase Headley. Portions of the program brought to you by, and this day in Tennessee sports history specifically is brought to you by Peak IV Hydration Center in South Knoxville and Sevierville. Live your life to the fullest. Hydrate, rejuvenate, and elevate your health with Peak IV Hydration. That is Peak IV Hydration. All right. The college football playoff debate is heating up. As you know, the college football playoff is likely locked in for 14 teams again this year. Okay. I'm sorry, excuse me. It's likely locked in for 12 teams again this year through 2025. But starting in 2026, when the Big Ten and SEC exercise exclusive control, it's going to change. There's options on what to do. Some people are talking about making it 14 teams. Others are talking about expanding to 16 teams. Others want to keep it at 12. Then there's people like me who think you should have gone back to 4 or just the BCS. Now, that's the poll question up right now. What is the best CFP format? 16 teams, 14 teams, keep it at 12, go back to 4 or BCS? I'm team go back to 4 or BCS. However, most of the talk and the thought to this point has been that they would expand it to 14 teams. The automatic qualifier talk we've covered. But now reports are out that there's a favor of 16 teams, and Ross Dellinger of Yahoo is reporting this. How would 16 teams work? We're going to talk about that now, and we're going to play a little 4 downs when discussing it, because it's kind of interesting what they're suggesting. So 4 downs now, brought to you by Ted Russell Ford. We're live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln studio. Ted Russell Ford Lincoln is your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville, new and used, East Tennessee's largest Ford and Lincoln volume dealer. 4 downs right now. Let's get started. First, a message from Cooper Mays to hit like and subscribe. And I don't have the audio, so I'll start with first down from Coop. First down from Coop. How would a 16-team CFP look? According to Ross Dellinger, this includes auto bids per conference. 4 auto bids for the SEC, 4 auto bids for the Big Ten, 2 for the Big 12, 2 for the ACC, 1 group of 5 auto bid, and 3 at-large auto bids. That would get you to 16 teams. Okay, now, those auto bid numbers were floated for the 14-team playoff too, but there would just be 1 at-large auto bid at that point. Would at-large auto bids and would auto bids per conference destroy any value in non-conference games or rankings or what the committee can do? No, because seeding would still matter. There's still home playoff games. And most importantly, too, I don't think, and you have to reimagine this, I don't think it's where you finish in your conference standings. The way you can make the auto bids work is if you throw out conference standings and just throw out where teams rank within the conference. That's how you could do the auto bids. I don't love it. But given all the proposals outside of that, if you're going to go to 16 teams, this is one of the better ways to do it, quite honestly. This is one of the more effective ways to do it. Second down from Cooper Mays. What will the conference championship game format be if there's auto bids? Now, here's where things get interesting, guys. Because if there's auto bids for the SEC and the Big 10 and the Big 12 and the ACC and in the group, not necessarily the group of 5, but the other ones, well, then the SEC and Big 10, the championship games for those 2 leagues don't mean anything. Both teams playing in the championship games will go to the playoff and actually will probably likely get a home playoff game. So with that in mind, the auto bids, truth be told, don't really mean much. And I would say, the conference championship games don't really mean much. So what Ross Dellinger has reported is that interconference play-in games might replace the conference championship games. What are interconference play-in games? The 3rd-ranked team in the conference would play the 6th-ranked team in the conference, and the 4th-ranked team would play the 5th-ranked team, and those would be play-in games to get to the playoff. That's what's been floated as a replacement for the conference championship games. Now, there's an inherent flaw in that system too if you go to 16. It's not there if you go to 14 and there's only 1 at-large bid, but it is there if you go to 16 and there's 3 at-large bids. And here's that flaw. If you go to 3 at-large bids and you have 4 auto bids for the SEC and the Big 10 each, well, guys, the 5th-ranked team in the SEC and the 5th-ranked team in the Big 10 are both likely to be at-large teams then. So you still don't incentivize them to try to waste energy to win that conference game when the fact of the matter is they're going to the playoff anyway, and the fact of the matter is they likely don't have a home playoff game anyway. They're going to have a road playoff game. So there's nothing really to play for at that point except for seeding, but why risk injury just for seeding? That's not going to work. I'm just going to tell you guys up front, that's not going to work. So if you're going to do the auto bids and the play-in, I think you got to stick with 14 teams. Now, a way around that is if the group of 5 can leverage itself to get 1 more extra team, and then you only have 2 at-large bids. And then 3, 6, and 4, 5 have to play because when 3 and 6 play, if 6 wins, all of a sudden 5 has some pressure to win because if 6 wins, they bump up as a bubble team, and 5 nor 4 can afford to lose at that point, because they might lose at large spot. So At that point, it could be intriguing, but it would depend on how they schedule all of these things. I think the best way to do this would be, excuse me, have 4 and 5 play first, so they don't know what 6 does, because everything would hinge on 6, on the 6 team in the conference, which is not going to have an at-large bid locked in. But maybe they will. There's 3 at-large bids. You could definitely see a scenario where the SEC or the Big Ten, the 5th and 6th best teams in the leagues, know they're going the week of conference championship week, but that's still dependent on how other teams play out. So you can make this matter, but you have to make 4 and 5 play before 3 versus 6 if you're going to do that. That's going to be a flaw otherwise. The other result of this would be the SEC moves to a 9-game schedule. This is what everybody wants. Part of the reason they haven't is because there was no reward for playing a tough schedule last year based on what the College Football Playoff Selection Committee did. So moving to a 9-game schedule hurts your college football playoff chances if you play a Power 5 non-conference game. However, if you have auto bids locked in, that's not as much of an issue. And you know the at-large bids are going to go to some of your schools anyway. So moving to a 9-game schedule is advantage. That was Third Down, brought to you by Tennessee center Cooper Mays. Before we get to Fourth Down, once again, portions of the program and 4 Downs in general are brought to you by Ted Russell Ford. We are live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln studio. Ted Russell Ford Lincoln is your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville, new and used, East Tennessee's largest Ford and Lincoln volume dealer.
Like a blast from the past, the Super Dealer is back. Look to the skies, Knoxville. The Super Dealer is fighting for price, service, and the American-made. Ted Russell Ford is East Tennessee's #1 volume Ford dealer. Save up to $4,350 on a new Ford F-150 XLT, or get into a new Ford Ranger XLT with no payments for 90 days. Come see the Super Dealer today at either Ted Russell Ford.
All SEC center Cooper Mays here. Fourth Down. I don't have the audio, so I had to do that, guys. Yes, 4th Down from all SEC center Cooper Mays. The 16-team CFP with auto bids would lead to a scheduling agreement with the SEC and the Big Ten, which they want to have, where you have an SEC Big Ten challenge. That would be epic, particularly at the start of the year. Labor Day weekend, have an SEC Big Ten challenge where the highest rank, have them play based on where they finished in the league the year before. Of course, the bottom 2 teams in the Big Ten just wouldn't get to take part of it since there's 18 Big Ten teams and 16 SEC teams. So what? This would be legendary. Legend, wait for it, dairy. I'm dead serious. This would be so much fun if this is how you had Labor Day go. Okay. And I don't know why they don't do this already. You could start it on a Thursday and make it last through a Monday because it's Labor Day weekend. And you would have, in an SEC Big Ten Challenge, you would have 16 games. Your premier games, you would have at noon, 3:30. I'm sorry. You would have premier games at on Thursday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, and Monday night. That's where you have your 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? Actually, I take that back down. You would have 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 2 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday, 1 on Monday. Because this would just be so epic to watch. You have a nice little teaser game with one of the mid-level teams for a Thursday night, and then another teaser game on a Sunday afternoon. Okay, so here's how I would do it. The 6 best teams for the SEC and the Big Ten play each other on Thursday night. That's a teaser. Get you in. You might be looking at playoff teams, but you might be looking at mid-tier teams, okay? The 4th best teams in the SEC and Big Ten play each other on Saturday afternoon at 3:30. You know what? I'm going to flip this a bit. I'm saying this out loud. I'm floating this to you guys as I'm talking to you, so I'm flipping it. I know how big noon kickoffs are for the Big Ten, so I want to switch this around even more. All right. Starting over. Let's get this out of the way. The 6th best teams in the SEC and the Big Ten play each other Thursday night in a nice little teaser. The 5th best teams play each other at 3:30 Saturday afternoon, middle of the afternoon. The 4th best teams play each other at noon for big noon kickoff that day. The 3rd best teams play Monday night. The second best teams play Sunday night. And then the best teams play at 7 o'clock Saturday night. And then you get the seventh best teams play each other Sunday afternoon. I mean, guys, this would just be so epic. Big Ten SEC Showdown would be so much fun. It would be possible if this happened, because once you get the automatic qualifiers, the SEC doesn't have to worry at that point about getting screwed because they play tougher schedules and an extra team getting left out, which is what happened last year. This is the way to do it. Everybody would watch it. This is how you can make the 16-team playoff work. So again, the biggest kink they got to work out is that you can't do the 3-6-4-5 format if you have 3 at-large bids and you don't have any exceptions and you just throw that in. You got to make sure the 3 and 6 teams play last. So the 4 and 5 teams on those that first Saturday in December, have to play each other. And they actually have to try to win. The poll question: what is the best CFP format? 6% say 14 teams, 67% say 16 teams, 17% say keep it at 12, 11% say go back to 4 BCS. I'm in the 11%. I'm sorry. I know I'm in the minority, but I think we're losing what made college football special, and the playoff was not as exciting as many people think it was last year. So I'm in the minority, but I am very, 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 very big on 17 teams. And so but if you're going to do it like this, doing it at 16 would make it fun. So, but please don't expand it past 16, guys. After this, the regular season is too valuable. So let's just see how that all works out. But I'm okay with this auto bid model if you do it this way. Portions of the program are brought to you by Quality Tire Pros, serving Chattanooga community since 1957. All major brands of tires, full service automotive, brake alignments, oil changes, and more. QualityTirePros.com. Walk in and say, "Hey, Bo, Off the Hook Sports sent you." QualityTirePros.com. When we come back, Urban Meyer is the biggest hypocrite in the history of the world. We're going to explain why. Stick with us. 2 minutes. Off the Hook Sports, live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studio, show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney led by T. Scott Jones, BanksandJones.com.
It's a new year, a new day, and Ted Russell Lincoln has an exciting new offer to share. Right now, get a 2024 Lincoln Navigator with 0% APR for 72 months and up to $4,000 in bonus cash. Or drive away in a new 2024 Lincoln Corsair Grand Touring with 0% APR for 60 months and up to $4,500 in bonus cash. It's time to get excited about the ride. Come and see what a luxury car experience truly is at Ted Russell Lincoln, Knoxville.
Now in its 45th year, the second and third generations continue Joe Newbert's commitment.
His vision of what this business needed to be, we still try to live up to that.
Joe Newbert Collision Center.
Having been in the jewelry industry for a long time in the Knoxville community, I saw a need for a jeweler, a real jeweler.
Our ability to do these designs has really been based on the customers bringing new things in and challenging us as a store. Our goal is not to tell anybody what they want. Our goal is to listen to what they want and then help them get there.
Schedule your consultation today to get your special someone the perfect custom gift just in time for the holidays.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare.
Double D Piping provides full-service fire protection on any scale. From residential homes to government facilities, we can assist any customer through design, fabrication, installation, inspection, and demonstration of fire suppression systems. With 30 years of service across 5 states and a full staff with over 40 years experience, our quality can't be beat. Don't get caught watching what you could have prevented. Call Double D Piping.
Welcome back to Off the Hook Sports, portions of the program brought to you by Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. They want to be your jeweler looking for affordable game day jewelry at Tennessee Tradition, RickTerryJewelry.com. Urban Meyer has literally no shame. Now, he never has, but it's almost like he trolls you with the lack of shame that is inside of him. Recently speaking on the Triple Option podcast, one podcast which we referenced the other day because he was talking about Tennessee, I let slip something he said about Sherrone Moore. Because he was talking on the podcast today, Michigan head coach Sherrone Moore was suspended for 2 games stemming from a sign stealing case in 2023. Moore was accused of deleting text messages to conceal them from the NCAA, which Urban Meyer decided to criticize. Here's what Urban Meyer said on the Triple Option podcast, and the nerve of him to say this is just insane. Quote, I don't believe the NCAA will ever do this because they'll get litigated. It will be outrageous. I don't believe it will happen. But if you put a rule in the rule book, 1A, and it says if you do not tell the truth, if you lie to the NCAA, your career is over in college football. Yeah, Urban Meyer is calling for the NCAA to ban people, to ban head coaches from college football if they lie to the NCAA. Guys, this is Urban Meyer. Okay? One of the most notorious liars of all time. Urban Meyer was suspended for 3 games in 2018 for lying about his knowledge of Zach Smith's past behavior. He said he was unaware of any domestic issues with assistant coach Zach Smith during their time at Ohio State, but later acknowledged that he and his wife Shelly did communicate about concerns raised by Zach Smith's ex-wife, Courtney Smith. How in the world does Urban Meyer say this with a straight face? But hypocrisy, it's not just having any integrity. Hypocrisy has been one of the cornerstones of Urban Meyer's entire career, dating back to his time with Florida. Okay, this is the same Urban Meyer that, in case you guys forgot, hid behind Tim Tebow's public spectacle of Christianity to pretend that he was running a program of integrity and morals at Florida, when behind Tim Tebow, you had murderers, people threatening to kill their girlfriends, people trying to blind players, racists like Riley Cooper, just all kinds of bad people on the team. Just pretty much everybody was getting arrested on that Florida team. And the only one he kicked off was Cam Newton, because Cam Newton was 1 year behind Tim Tebow, so we didn't necessarily need Cam Newton at that time anyway. Come on, guys. Come on. This is absolutely ridiculous. Urban Meyer is... one, it's ridiculous. It would never hold up in court. Lying to the NCAA is absolutely never going to hold up in court, okay? Because that... to ban somebody for that, I just don't think there's any way you could effectively do that. I get you shouldn't lie, but to call for a coach to be banned over that is absolutely insane. That's just absolutely ridiculous to even suggest. And for Urban Meyer to do that, for Urban Meyer to suggest that, given everything that's happened with Urban Meyer over the years, I mean, I'm sorry. There's just no way anybody could take that seriously, okay? There's no way anybody could take seriously Urban Meyer saying what he said. And in case you guys have forgotten, and it's been taken down from YouTube now because it actually is pretty embarrassing. But years ago, this was almost 10 years ago now, Urban Meyer went on Bill O'Reilly's show, The No Spin Zone, back when he was on Fox News. And Urban Meyer and Bill O'Reilly talked about, he had written some book about, how he ran, about the type of program and culture he established at Ohio State on the heels of winning a national title in 2014. Now remember, Urban Meyer was already known for what he did at Florida, where he ran a completely criminal-laden program, won 2 national titles, and left the program on fire. This was a rehabilitation project that we found out was a total lie, because after this is when the Zach Smith stuff broke. But he went on Bill O'Reilly. And Bill O'Reilly, in one of the most pathetic interviews I had ever seen, played the whole no spin zone and just kowtowed to Urban Meyer's lies. And at one point, they brought up Jameis Winston. if you guys remember, Jameis Winston had just wrapped up his career at Florida State. Bill O'Reilly talked about all the times Jameis Winston had gotten in trouble. We know the serious allegation, but then talked about the crab legs and the getting on the table and saying something he shouldn't have said that got him suspended for a game. And Bill O'Reilly at one point was like, "Yeah, you wouldn't let a guy get away with that on your team, would you?" And Urban Meyer's exact quote was, "It'd be pretty hard for me to let that go." And Bill O'Reilly went along and let him lie on that. And Bill O'Reilly's like, "Yeah, you wouldn't keep him on. You'd kick him off the team." Like, one, Bill O'Reilly, stop sucking up like that just for access, okay? Do your darn research. You know damn well Urban Meyer would have let that go. He let everything go when he was in Florida. He let killers on his team. The idea that he would not have let Jameis Winston stealing crab legs go was laughable. And for Urban Meyer to say that was so hypocritical, so pathetic, so laughable. And everybody just let that slide. But then Urban Meyer, during that time, that whole point of that book, Post-National Title, was a rehabilitation tour for how he let Florida slide into complete oblivion because he ran no discipline there. The culture was so bad that kids in Florida wouldn't go to Florida years after because parents didn't want them being part of that culture because they thought it was a culture problem. That's how badly he wrecked Florida, because he let players get away with literally murder when he was down there. And then he says he couldn't let Jameis Winston stealing crab legs go. Okay, Urban, sure. Well, he goes on that whole rant, and then 3 years later, the Zach Smith scandal breaks, where we find out he was lying. And when he was going on that rant, when he says it'd be hard for him to let it go, when he was writing that book, he was covering for Zach Smith's domestic abuse. This is one of the biggest hypocrites and liars of all time. And now he's saying if you lie to the NCAA, you should get banned from coaching college football? A guy who blatantly lied to the NCAA and then got suspended. And by the way, I don't want to say this, but in my personal opinion, faked 2 health issues to escape smoke during the time, faked a health issue at Florida so he could run from the program after he realized it was falling apart with Tim Tebow leaving, faked another health issue at Ohio State so he could retire under the pressure of the Zach Smith situation, but make it look like it was a health issue. Okay, Urban Meyer, are you serious? Are you serious? This is What the Age. It's brought to you by Double D Piping, fire protection contractors, providing around-the-clock service, protecting their customers' lives and properties all the time. DoubleDPiping.com.
Double D Piping provides full-service fire protection on any scale. From residential homes to government facilities, we can assist any customer through design, fabrication, installation, inspection, and demonstration of fire suppression systems. With 30 years of service across 5 states and a full staff with over 40 years experience, our quality can't be beaten. Don't get caught watching what you could have prevented. Call Double D Piping.
The poll question is up. Urban Meyer suggesting coaches who lie to the NCAA being banned from college football is a good idea or raging hypocrisy. I'm going to say raging hypocrisy. I mean, this is absolutely so laughable. I just can't get over how anybody could take Urban Meyer seriously with something like this. It feels like he's trolling. Does it not feel like he's trolling us, guys, with something like that? I mean, good Lord. Urban Meyer, of all people, saying that you should be banned from coaching college football if you lie to the NCAA, when Urban Meyer himself was one of the biggest liars of all time. I'm sorry, man. That is the most ridiculous thing I think I've ever seen. A coach like Urban Meyer saying that. One, again, I want to point this out. All coaches lie. All coaches lie. But I also have to say that, so just on the merits of this, no, it's not a good idea to ban coaches from the NCAA from coaching college football for lying. You can do show causes and things like that. I'm not crazy about show causes. It depends on the severity of the lie. What were you lying about? Okay. One, Sherrone Moore, we don't even know if he necessarily lied. He concealed evidence from the NCAA, which is technically different. He's entitled to delete text messages and things like that. Sorry, he is. I mean, it's suspicious. I certainly think there was cheating going on with Sherrone Moore at Michigan. No, he shouldn't be banned from coaching college football. Okay, and Urban Meyer suggesting that just really speaks to, again, he no one fakes integrity more than Urban Meyer. This is just hilarious that he says this. And yes, I'm on one of my soapboxes right now. I will agree with you on that, General Ursus. Steve Sullivan, he's saying, go, Caleb, go. Thanks for the encouragement. I love that. Adam says, Meyer never let the truth get in the way. That's absolutely true. And also, Urban hadn't coached a single Jags game, and he was under fire for staff hires. Oh, jaded Jags fan David Smith. David speaks. David, I feel for you, man. That's tough to be a Jags fan. Adam points out one doesn't equal the other. Meyer was right, but Meyer is a hypocrite. Okay, but Adam, Sherrone Moore didn't necessarily even lie to the NCAA, so that's my problem with this too. He concealed evidence. But there's no proof that he did it illegally, okay? It's just because he was not fully forthcoming, they were allowed to reasonably conclude that there was some level of cheating, and then this 2-game suspension is a way to make it go away, a slap on the wrist. But there's no like Bruce Pearl situation where he directly lied to his superiors. We don't know that yet, okay? General Ursa says coaches are like politicians and used car salesmen. They only tell the truth if it benefits them. No, that is very, very, very true, okay? So, look, I'm with everybody. Ronnie Jenkins saying he just needs to be quiet. You were absolutely right. Okay, Urban Meyer is... Some of y'all talking about Urban Meyer as a salesman. He's not even a salesman. He's not a good salesman. Let's point that out. He's a good coach, and because he won on the field and proved it with his production, he could get away with a lot more. He didn't even really have to sell that much, truth be told. Because the selling point was his product. He's the case of... You can be a total douche, but if you sell a good product, people will still let you get away with it. That's just how everything goes. Same with great players. I mean, Urban Meyer is a heck of a coach. I'm not saying I wouldn't hire him if I were certain schools. So the poll question, Urban Meyer suggesting coaches who lie to the NCAA being banned from college football is a good idea or raging hypocrisy. As of right now, 17% of you are saying a good idea. 83% are saying raging hypocrisy. Portions of the program are brought to you by Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. They want to be your jeweler looking for affordable game day jewelry, a Tennessee tradition. RickTerryJewelry.com, RickTerryJewelry.com. It's time for the stat of the day. And the stat of the day is this. With the spring transfer portal now closed, Tennessee officially lost 25 transfers during the winter and spring transfer portals at the end of the season. They added 7 so far. So as of right now, they have a net loss of 18 players that is not due to graduation or dismissal or early departure for the NFL from the 2024 team. A net loss of 18 players. Stat of the day brought to you by Work Trucks. They're all about trucks. Trucks that are actually available. Trucks that help you maximize your profits by having the right work vehicle now. Time is money. The perfect work vehicle doesn't break down and has all the space to carry what you need. That's what Work Trucks is intent on offering while other dealerships just can't do it. Contracting is about time. Work Trucks saves you time with less back and forth trips and trucks that pass the highest standards to be put to work. The process is also quick and easy when choosing a vehicle for work trucks, cargo vans, utility body trucks with the nap hide work bodies installed, pickup trucks of all sizes, and anything special like cranes or dump trucks. Work Truck supplies vehicles to people just like you and get you back on the road tomorrow. No dealership run around. If you're a contractor, you need to know Work Trucks, and that's fact. Service industry, remember Work Trucks. Work Trucks carries the trucks that your business has to have. You need Work Trucks. Clinton Highway in Knoxville and in downtown Birmingham. For the entire inventory, go online to worktrucksllc.com. Worktrucksllc.com with an X. Why risk chancing your future and business on the wrong piece of equipment that burns your time? Worktrucksllc.com. Work Trucks will also make sure you have the perfect vehicle you have to have. They'll even find a perfect truck, outfit it, and make sure it fits your needs to a T. Work Trucks with an X, LLC.com. WorkTrucksLLC.com, proud supporters of the Tennessee Vols. When we come back, Donald Trump putting together a commission on college sports to address issues ailing the industry, and it looks like Nick Saban might lead that. Will anything come of it? I have my doubts. I'll explain why. 2 minutes off the Hook Sports.
Like a blast from the past, the Super Dealer is back. Look to the skies, Knoxville. The Super Dealer is fighting for price, service, and the American-made. Ted Russell Ford is East Tennessee's #1 volume Ford dealer. Save up to $4,350 on a new Ford F-150 XLT, or get into a new Ford Ranger XLT with no payments for 90 days. Come see the Super Dealer today at either Ted Russell Ford location, Parkside Drive or Kingston Pike.
Sports Treasures in North Knoxville is one of the South's largest sports cards and memorabilia dealers, featuring over 10 million sports cards from vintage to modern. Sports Treasures carries a full line of hobby boxes, singles, autographed memorabilia, Tennessee Vol collectibles, fan cave decorations, and so much more. See a museum full of collectibles at Sports Treasures, 4819 North Broadway in Fountain City, and Sports Treasures on Facebook. Sports Treasures, where the real sports fan goes to shop.
Community banking is about location and much more. It's about family. We reside in your community. We are a part of your community. At Commercial Bank, our commitment extends beyond the walls of our branches. It's displayed each day in the opportunities we provide, the money we give back, and the time we commit, all to help improve the lives of the people, families, and businesses that make our communities great. Commercial Bank, life made better.
Double D Piping provides full-service fire protection on any scale. From residential homes to government facilities, we can assist any customer through design, fabrication, installation, inspection, and demonstration of fire suppression systems. With 30 years of service across 5 states and a full staff with over 40 years experience, our quality can't be beaten. Don't get caught watching what you could have prevented. Call Double D Piping.
Welcome back to Off the Hook Sports. Portions of the program are brought to you by Sports Treasures, carrying over 5 million sports treasures and so much more. Follow on Follow on Facebook for the best sports memorabilia. Daily updates, facebook.com/sports treasures TN, facebook.com/sports treasures TN. Also brought to you by the UPS Store Hardin Valley, helping individuals and small businesses, wide range of products and services, locally owned and operated. 10629 Hardin Valley Road. We close today's show with news of Donald Trump potentially putting together a commission on college athletics to address issues ailing NIL. Ross Dellinger is reporting that Trump is making plans to create a presidential commission on college athletics, the first step in what could be a months-long endeavor for solutions to the issues ailing the ecosystem. Multiple sources, both in Congress and within college sports, spoke to Yahoo Sports under condition of anonymity as they were not authorized to speak about the plan. Many college sports stakeholders have been briefed on the matter. It's not clear when an announcement could come. The commission will be led by former Alabama coach Nick Saban and Texas billionaire businessman Cody Campbell, who sold an energy company for $2.5 billion, played football for Texas Tech. It's not that old, actually. Played for Mike Leach. This is after Trump and Nick Saban met with each other last week during Alabama's commencement. The commission is expected to deeply examine the landscape of college sports, including the frequency of player movement in the transfer portal, the unregulated booster compensation paid to athletes, the debate of college employment, preserving the Olympic sports structure, the application of Title IX to school revenue share payments, and even conference membership shakeup and conference television contracts, those with knowledge of the commission told Yahoo Sports. There's a lot of things that could be addressed with this commission. I'm not poo-pooing it. I'm not throwing it out the window. Conference realignment, television contracts, things like that, you could definitely address. But the root thing that they're trying to get to with this is not going to be able to be addressed. And I've always been talking about this, and it is NIL. The key phrase, quote, the unregulated booster compensation paid to athletes. How are you going to regulate it? Seriously, how are you going to regulate the unregulated compensation from boosters paid to athletes? Now, if you want to talk about a way to navigate the legal avenues of Title IX and the Antitrust Act, because as of right now, they're in direct conflict with each other, and that's what universities are facing. Because universities now have to allow players to get paid, but there is theoretically that's based on the antitrust law of the 1890s. But that also can lead to a Title IX violation for student athletes at public universities, which was passed in the 1970s. There's some legal way to thread that, and maybe the commission can do that. But how are you going to regulate money boosters pay to athletes? First of all, I don't even want to get to the point of, I don't like to get to political parties in this, but I mean, Trump is a Republican president. He's conservative. That's fine. Conservatives typically believe in the free market and not regulating things and allowing the market to take its course and not limiting how much money you can make. Is it really conservative for the president to use an executive order to limit the amount of money a college athlete can get paid from boosters on the open market? I mean, we can point that out. That doesn't seem very conservative to me, honestly. Isn't part of capitalism letting you get paid whatever your market value is worth? On top of that, it's an antitrust violation. Now, I'm sorry, guys. I got a little tickle in my throat. Now, what the schools pay the players can be regulated. One, they're public institutions, most of them. Some, even if they are private, probably get public funding for money. And if you let the players unionize, then you can regulate that. But at the same time, how are you going to regulate a player being able to make ad money on the open market because a booster wants to endorse him? How do you regulate that? Now, David Speak says they can fix the transfer rules on eligibility. Yes, that's true. They could. I think the transfer rules have gotten a little bit out of hand. At the same time, is it not better than it was? Now players aren't stuck in a program where they're not going to be a starter for years if they commit to a school where there's better players at that program. I don't know what the best solution is. Here's my proposal for the transfer rules. And I actually like the original way. The transfer rules are this. My solution is you can transfer out and go to any school you want to one time without any stipulations. One time. Now, coaches can't ever block transfers. Let's stop that. Stop the blocking of transfers. You can transfer out and go to any school you want to one time. If you have completed your undergraduate courses and gotten an undergraduate degree, you can transfer as many times as you want per the amount of eligibility you have left in college football. So if you completed your undergraduate courses and have an undergraduate degree, you can transfer as many times as you want with no penalty. And even before that, you can transfer as many times as you want at least one time. I'm sorry, let me say that. You can transfer. Every player gets to transfer one time with no penalties to wherever they want to go. Every player who has an undergraduate degree can transfer to whatever school they want to as many times as they want to with no penalty. However, if you have transferred once and you have not completed your undergraduate degree, then if you transfer again, you have to sit out a year and take a red shirt. That's the way I think this works, okay? That's the way I think this should play out. But addressing the transfer rules is a fair way to handle this. Again, the compensation to athletes can't be regulated, and that's what they want to do. And I have to ask this question too. Nick Saban has been advocating for college football changes like this for a year. Okay, he's already been working with people to come up with solutions. To his credit, I do think Nick Saban wants to try to fix college football. But here's the real question. Why does a presidential commission need to be made on that? If Nick Saban's already studying the issue, why does a commission need to be made for it? It doesn't. Nothing's going to come of it. Bank on it. Brought to you by Commercial Bank, member FDIC, Life Made Better. CBTN.com. The presidential commission that Donald Trump is creating to address issues ailing college athletics won't address the root issue that Nick Saban wants to address, even though he's on the board. Bank on it.
Commercial Bank is your neighborhood bank. What makes us different from other banks? We understand that every customer has unique opportunities, challenges, and financial concerns. We don't expect you to fit into the same box as the next person or business. Whether it's purchasing a home, saving for your child's future, or planning for your next vacation, we're with you every step of the way to navigate life's big decisions. Commercial.
All right, I'm putting this out on the poll question. Donald Trump creating a commission with Nick Saban to try to fix issues with college sports is a good idea. Government shouldn't regulate player pay. How about that? Okay, so here's my issue. Here's my question. Donald Trump creating a commission with Nick Saban to fix NIL issues in college sports is a good idea, or government shouldn't regulate player pay. You guys let me know what you think on that. Donald Trump creating a commission with Nick Saban to try to fix NIL issues in college sports is a good idea, or government shouldn't regulate player pay. I'm sorry. I'm on the issue of government shouldn't regulate player pay. I'm sorry. They should not regulate player pay. You guys let me know what you think. There's other ways and other avenues to fix things related to NIL and revenue sharing, but you can't regulate what players get on the open market. That's just not something that is appropriate. Again, the Sherman Antitrust Act makes it very clear players are allowed to maximize their revenue, and you are violating the Antitrust Act when you don't let them make money off their name, image, and likeness. Money was being stolen from them for years through video game sales, through jerseys. Okay, when number 16 was sold at Tennessee as a jersey with no name on the back for years, everybody knew it was Peyton Manning, and he couldn't make a dime off that in the 90s. When Tim Tebow's number 15 was being sold at Florida without his name on the back during the mid-2000s, everybody was making money off Tim Tebow but Tim Tebow. Sorry, you should absolutely stay. I'm just going to say it. I'm not one of those. I'm not like, I'll just be upfront with you guys. I'm not some libertarian who thinks the government has to stay the hell out of everything related to the market and the economy. But the government should not be telling a person that they can't make a certain amount of money off their name, image, and likeness. You should never be limited on what you can make off your own name, image, and likeness. That's absolutely ridiculous, okay? Now, if you want to limit what's paid to players through the university and work with colleges to address that, help the players unionize, fine. That's not the problem. The problem is NIL is not that, and people need to stop thinking it is. Legally, NIL is money. Boosters pay players. They are considered endorsement deals. You cannot limit what players make on endorsement deals in NIL. You just can't. That's not something you can ever do. So I think it's absolutely ridiculous to think you're going to address this issue all the way around. I don't think it's possible right now. I think it's more important to try to figure out some sort of solution where there's revenue sharing amongst the schools themselves. Maybe set a stipulation for people who are boosters. Maybe the legal avenue is if you are a booster for the university, based on the amount of money you give, there's a limit on what you can give in endorsements, period, to members of that university. You could create a conflict of interest clause there that technically wouldn't violate the antitrust laws. But at that point, many of the boosters would just stop giving to the university and give to the players in general. So I don't think there's any way you can do this that is going to work out the way people want. And it doesn't matter if these are public colleges, because the money the players are making does not come from the college. It comes from the boosters, and it comes from companies and advertising revenue and endorsements for their name, image, and likeness. There is no way you could legally tell a player or a person in general, or anybody in the world, or at least anybody in this country, that they are limited in what they can make off their name, image, and likeness. And that is the issue. The show, represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, play to win, why settle? Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com, live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln studio. Ted Russell Ford Lincoln is your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville, new and used, East Tennessee's largest Ford and Lincoln volume dealer. I want to thank you guys all for tuning in with me this week. It was a lot of fun dealing with you guys. Tough to handle the show solo, but we all got through it. You guys were my moral support. I couldn't do it without you guys. Again, Dave was off this week. He will be back, but he's dealing with the personal matter. So just please keep him in your thoughts and prayers for the moment. You guys all have a great rest of your weekend. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Ring the bell. Leave a comment. Turn your notifications on. Tell a friend. We're still building here at Off the Hook Sports, and we want you all to be a part of it. And we are having a lot of fun doing it. So please hit like and subscribe. Tell friends. Ring the bell. Turn your notifications on. Let everybody know about the show. We are on live weekdays. Every weekday at 10 a.m. Eastern, guys. 10 a.m. Eastern every weekday. We will be back on Monday. Again, thank you all for tuning in to today's show. Thank you all for tuning in this week. You guys have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy Mother's Day on Sunday. Fellas, make sure you get something. Make sure you plan something now. This is my friendly reminder to you. Plan something now. Mothers, enjoy your special day on Sunday. I know that I appreciate everything my wife does, and it's going to be her first Mother's Day, so I have to plan something pretty good too. So again, thank you guys all for tuning in. We'll see you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend with Caleb Calhoun. This has been a presentation